say the same thing. The Rottweiler is not a dog meant for everybody.
El Rottweiler en todos los libros dice que no es un perro para que lo pueda tener cualquier persona.
But we want to sell him to everybody, so we take away the character. And maybe,
Pero se lo vendemos a todo el mundo, entonces tuvimos que cambiarle el carácter.
and I think that was necessary. I think that was necessary to do so. But the problem is, how far are we willing to go? Because the moment will come that it will not be a Rottweiler anymore. And I did not fall in love with the Rottweiler because of his black antenna or his hanging ears. I fell in love because of his character, his nature. And if the nature is not there, then I find it difficult to live with him.
Dice que se modificó el temperamento justamente para que pueda convivir con todo el mundo, pero hasta qué punto vamos a llegar, ablandando el perro. Dice que lo que hacía que uno se enamore de los primeros Rottweiler que hubo fue justamente lo difícil que era vivir con ellos.
This brings me to this brings me to one of the problems that we have spoken about on the seminar in the ACRR, the seminar of the breed wardens, and I have mentioned it also in Denmark 3 weeks ago. That is, what are we looking for? We have several breed suitability tests. We have the German ZTP, and we have, for instance, the Dutch from Holland or the Belgian breed suitability tests. And you have also, like in Denmark, the Scandinavian mental test. And the question is, what are we looking for? I will tell you very shortly what the difference is between the German ZTP and, let's say, the other breed suitability tests. In the ZTP, it's bite work. It's learned behavior. We teach the dog to bite the sleeve. He knows what will happen. He'll get the stick. He knows he'll get the sleeve, he knows he gets a reward, he knows he's a good boy, and he knows that nothing bad will happen to him. ZTP. He knows that nothing bad will happen to him because he's confident. We teach him as a young dog to bite the sleeve. So,
ahora dice que va a decir las diferencias, hacia dónde apunta la raza, y que va a decir las diferencias entre los diferentes aptos de cría, el ZTP alemán, inclusive unos test mentales que vieron en Dinamarca.
Que hacen en Dinamarca para todas las razas, ¿eh?
Sí, dice que que justamente el ZTP es algo que el alemán, ¿no? El perro ya sabe que no le va a pasar nada nuevo, porque el perro ya viene entrenando, ya sabe que va a recibir un bastonazo, que va a morder una manga.
Okay, so with this test, we are not judging the dog, appreciating the dog on his original drives as a cow driver, but we are testing him on the presence and recognizing and rewarding the presence of the characteristics that were present in the beginning of the 20th century as a working dog, meaning a Schutzhund dog or a police dog. So in this sense, the ZTP is a very good test because it is testing for the original characteristics in a socially acceptable way.
Dice que el ZTP es un test que mide las características originales del perro, ya sea que obviamente no los podemos medir más para ver si pueden seguir arreando el ganado, pero que es muy importante.
So in a socially acceptable way, we look for these characteristics.
En una sociedad, en una forma de aceptarlo socialmente el temperamento.
Okay. Then we have the other tests, in which we are looking not for the ZTP. To do the ZTP, you need a high drive. You need a dog. The smallest provocation there is, the dog has to react and bite. And once the provocation is gone, because the sleeve is still, the dog has to be high in drive because he has to guard and grab the sleeve again. So we want him high in drive and keep him high in drive.
Está bien, tenemos que empezar. En el ZTP se empieza con un perro bajo de drive, ¿sí? En toda la que es la parte de protección está hablando. Se empieza con un perro bajo de drive en lo que es defensa y después eso se va aumentando, subiéndole el mismo drive en el mismo ejercicio al perro.
Then we have the other tests,
Tenemos otros exámenes
in which we don't ask to bite the sleeve, and for which you don't have to train the dog. But because for us in Belgium it was important that, not in Belgium, also in Holland and other countries too, it was important that we could have as many dogs as possible participate a test to see that they are in the standard, But most of the people, they don't work their dogs anymore, so we could not demand that people would do the ZTP. So we had to look for another test. And the test that we are doing, and maybe you can explain that first.
Sí, dice que, bueno, que en otros países, como por ejemplo en Bélgica, tienen un test de un apto de cría, pero que no tienen que morder una manga. Por ahí se los somete a los perros a otras situaciones en las que se prueban otro tipo de temas más de calle.
So, we demand a lot of things of the dog. The dog has to be extremely social. He gets a lot of impulses, a lot of stimuli. He gets in market situations and so on and so on. And when he passes this, then we tie him to a tree. We let him alone for 5 minutes, totally alone. And a dog with his handler with him or alone, it's a big difference. Huh? It's really a big difference. And then somebody goes to the dog, no aggression, no provocation. The dog should not be aggressive and should not be afraid. I'm not asking that I can touch the dog. It's not my dog, so but I can pass him. He should not be afraid and not aggressive. Then we go away and we let the dog alone. 2 minutes. And then we attack the dog. No sleeve, no sportive costume. We attack the dog with a stick and we stop at 2 meters. The dog should not be afraid, but he can be aggressive because there's a strong provocation. He's attacked, he may be aggressive, but he should not be afraid. The man with his menace, he comes to me, he gives me the stick, and he goes straight back to the dog.
Has no sleeve.
He has no sleeve, he goes straight back to the dog. The provocation is gone, so the dog should no longer be aggressive.
Okay. Dice que, por ejemplo, el test que tienen en Bélgica, bueno, el perro tiene que ser extremadamente sociable, se lo somete a una serie de situaciones como, por ejemplo, de supermercado, qué sé yo, se lo saca de esa situación y se lo lleva al perro solo, pasa de estar en una situación que lo superestimula a estar solo, with the handler or alone?
Alone, he's alone.
Solo, y se le aproxima a cabo de 2 o 3 minutos una persona en una actitud de ataque con un bastón sin manga y se para enfrente al perro, 2 metros frente al perro, enfrentándolo. El perro no debe demostrar miedo. Puede mostrarse agresivo porque es una situación que está enfrentando, tal cual. Pero cuando el hombre, bueno, ahí va el handler, toma al perro y cuando vamos a ponerle la persona esta se retira, el perro tiene que volver a su estado habitual.
Now, the question is, which test is asking for the strongest dog?
La pregunta es, ¿cuál de estos dos exámenes hacen que el perro sea mentalmente más fuerte?
We're looking for 2 different things. In the ZTP, high drive, and the provocation is gone, still a high drive. He has to guard and bite the sleeve immediately again. The other tests, low drive. He can become aggressive, but only when there's a strong menace, a strong provocation. Otherwise, he should not be reactive. Which test is asking for the strongest dog? One.
El belga.
Question.
El belga.
The Belgian.
Yes, because what we saw is many dogs that have IPO3 or Schutzhund3, and they pass the ZTP with no problem. When they do the other tests, and the menace comes without the sleeve, gone. It's totally different test. In the ZTP, they see the sleeve, they know what will happen, they know the man has a stick but he will not hit me, and my boss is standing behind me, and this learned behavior. In the other test, he's alone, and this lunatic comes with a stick attacking him.
Está bien.
And
dice que bueno, que justamente la diferencia es que el ZTP lo que hace es hacer una serie de ejercicios de lo que es hipo, ¿sí? El perro ya sabe, tiene que mantener sus impulsos o sus drives, ya sabe cuándo manejarlo. Claro, exactamente. Está adquirido, está enseñado desde el cachorro por lo general.
But now comes the difficult question. So the breed standard says calm, self-assured, difficult to provoke. Which tests is the best test to the character of the breed standard?
Bueno, y habla justamente de que el belga lo que hace es que permite que el perro sea agresivo, pero solo ante la provocación. Ahora él lo que dice es, el estándar dice que el perro debe ser difícil de provocar.
calm, self-assured,
calmo, seguro de sí mismo,
unafraid, and
no debemos demostrar miedo,
unafraid means difficult to provoke.
difícil de provocar.
Now, the question is, I will not give an answer. I will not give an answer. The question is, which test is the best
Entonces,
in relation to what is written in the breed standards?
Sabiendo esto del estándar, ¿cuál de los dos exámenes son
The
mejores?
answer is simple. Germany, the ADRK says they are the mother country of the breed, and they say the definition of the Rottweiler is he bites the sleeve, so he bites the sleeve. Point final. But when you start to think about it, the answer is not so easy. Personally, I prefer the ZTP, because the ZTP is not a neutral test. The other test is neutral. You know, the other test is testing what the strength of the dog. The ZTP, they not only want to test the strength of the dog, they want to recognize and preserve the characteristics that enable him to bite. Because this comes as close as possible to the original character, original nature of the Rottweiler. So in this sense, I understand that the ZTP is the best test and that we must do the ZTP because we will preserve the original characteristics and possibilities of use of the Rottweiler. I agree. So I have no critique on the ZTP. But when you start to think about it and read what is in the breed standard and look at the two tests, then you see that you're measuring for two different things. And then you have the Scandinavian mental test, but first you had a question. Madam had a question?
Sí,
Esa partecita, esa parte.
Sí, no, porque está bueno aparte. Dice que, bueno, él no va a contestar cuál de los dos test es mejor. Lo que sí dice es que el examen de Bélgica lo que hace es testear justamente el estado mental del perro. Y lo que hace el ZTP es asegurarse la continuidad de la mordida de los perros. ¿Sí? Porque en Bélgica un perro puede aprobar este examen y no sabemos si muerde. En cambio, en Alemania, que es el país madre, que el examen está bien, dice él, yo lo apoyo, se aseguran la continuidad de la mordida del perro.
Y si a futuro va a morder o no va a morder nunca.
Claro.
Aquí da la conseja.
Espera que te voy a hacer
Sí,
una pregunta.
En realidad, entonces lo que él dice es que es mejor o que es más aconsejable para aquel que quiere seleccionar temperamento en el perro, darle prioridad a la sociabilización del perro en estado natural, es decir, que el perro tenga el instinto de protección, no así que la mordida sea obligatoria. Esa es la idea del examen del acto de cría que ellos toman allá.
En Bélgica.
Elevar el drive del perro y moverlo dentro de un esquema donde el perro está condicionado a trabajar con una manga y a morder, no es igual de valedero cuando uno está seleccionando el temperamento real del animal que cuando uno está sometiéndolo a pruebas de sociabilización, donde el perro se está moviendo en un ambiente donde el perro tiene que estar preparado para estar, es decir, un supermercado, una calle, un colegio.
She says that in your opinion, so we have to select or make our selection based on the natural impulse of the dog to be social and be protective with the owner in a situation of attack or conditionate the dog to a routine just
In the ZTP,
just looking for the bite.
In the ZTP, you condition the dog. It's learned behavior. There's no discussion possible. It is learned behavior. But to bite the sleeve, the dog needs certain natural characteristics. Otherwise, he will not bite the sleeve. Okay. So in this sense, it is a good test. Yes. Of course, like the natural, let's say, the natural behavior, and especially the social behavior of the dog is extremely important. Because, for instance, in Belgium, you have the choice. We give the choice. You do the ZTP in Belgium, or you do our other test. But if you do the ZTP in Belgium, the moment the dog comes off the sleeve, we take you in traffic and we do a social test. So we want to make sure that the dog is, yes, he will bite the sleeve when necessary, but he has to be able to have social acceptable behavior. He comes off the sleeve and we take him in traffic.
Dirk, en Bélgica
Está
tenés los
diciendo
dos.
que
El que muerde y
es
no.
muy importante para él el ZTP alemán. Sí, es verdad, el perro está condicionado a una rutina, ¿sí? Pero es muy importante el tema de la mordida. Lo que está diciendo que en Bélgica tienen este acto de cría y varios exámenes más, ¿sí? Para poder acceder a este examen que dijo, el perro tiene que morder antes. El perro muerde, lo sacan de ahí y lo llevan a este ámbito social, ya sea entre autos, en un supermercado o lo que sea. ¿Por qué? Porque el perro muerde, pero luego lo tienen que llevar a un lugar donde el perro demuestre.
Pero en el ZTP de ellos el perro no muerde, sino que el figurante se acerca sin la manga, justamente por eso el perro muerde.
Primero debe morder antes de llegar a esa situación.
Yeah, but before he bites, he has already done a lot of things. Before he bites, I have measured his head, I have touched him, I have measured his height, his length. He has been in a group and so on. So if the dog is nervous or afraid or aggressive, he's not biting, he's gone already.
Dice que primero lo miden, luego lo hacen morder, ¿sí? Si el perro es agresivo, ya directamente no pasa a la tercera fase de...
Pero muerde, no es que lo sacan a un ambiente donde
pero en la
solo y viene un figurante que no tiene la manga.
Muerde en una situación con una manga, con un figurante.
Después al supermercado, después lo ponen solo y viene
exactamente,
la persona.
sí.
Está bien.
Sí, le que diga los cuáles son todos los pasos del acto de criar en Bélgica.
What are all these
Que quede claro cómo es.
Steps. Okay.
In Belgium.
The Belgian test, first of all, we will say
Tienen BH. Si hacen BH.
we have BHs. The
En
dog.
Alemania primero el BH y
No,
después el
Bélgica. In Belgium too. All in Belgium.
Bélgica también.
Okay. So the test of the other test is first, of course, the dog will present himself in the company of somebody else and with another dog. We will say hello, just normal hello. Then we will measure the dog, just like measure his height, his length, check the 2 testicles, the 42 elements in the mouth, the color of the eye, and so on and so on. Then we will see if he is shot-free. He's not afraid of the shot.
Sí. Yes.
Then we have a large circle of people, let's say 15 people, and they move in a circle. And the dog has to slalom in the other direction through them. That's really slalom. But in the beginning it's easy for the dog, but after some while he gets a bit annoyed, and then he's getting annoyed and getting frustrated because he has to do the slalom the whole time. So, and he's in very near contact with the people the whole time. 2 times he will stop, shake hands, the other circle will just keep continue. Then the circle will change into a situation like in a marketplace, but not just walking to each other, really very close to each other. We touch each other. And the dog has to go through, but the dog, this means that the dog, it's dark down there, he's really low, and he gets kicked around. We don't kick him, but you know he gets kicked around because people are very close to each other. And then the group, we will go through a few times, the group will open, but much wider than in Germany. We go really wide open. And we go slowly down, close on the dog. Against the dog.
Okay.
Against. Then we go open again, and then we run on the dog. Yeah?
Okay.
Then we open again, we make 2 lines, and we have a plastic bag and a canister with stone and an umbrella and things like this, and then the dog has to march two times. And when he passes this, then we tie him to a tree or somewhere and we leave him alone. That's what I explained earlier.
Okay.
And then I approach the dog, should not be aggressive, not be afraid, and we attack the dog, stop at 2 meters, he should not be afraid. If he's afraid, he fails. If he's aggressive, no problem. But the figurant comes back to me, gives me the stick, and he goes back.
Okay.
And the dog should be calm again. Okay? And then we take him into traffic. We take him in the cantina, we go to a supermarket, we go in traffic with the cars and the bicycle and the jogger and all those things.
Okay.
That is a Belgian test.
Okay. Don't bite.
No bite.
Okay. Ahí está, ahí aclaró bien cómo es. Dijo justamente, había dicho que hay una serie de exámenes, de test que toman en donde sí muerden, que los pueden hacer antes del acto de cría. El acto de cría de ellos es, bueno, se presentan con el handler, se toman las medidas, se realiza el disparo, entre personas el perro va caminando, después 2 veces se tiene que parar y saludar a una de las personas. Se hace una situación como de mercado, que es lo que decía, pero la gente se tiene que ir chocando y el perro tiene que ir pasando por el medio. Luego se hace el círculo donde se unen, se abren, se unen.
Yeah, but the important for this situation is that we open up very wide. It's a very wide circle, and we go slowly on the dog. It's very threatening. It's difficult, more difficult on the dog that he sees everything coming slowly to him than when it's going quickly.
Lo hacen muy despacio porque dice que si lo hacen más rápido es diferente a que lo hacen lento para el perro. Es una situación más amenazante yendo despacio hacia el perro.
Then we open up a wide, but not just 2 meters, we open up wide, where we're 8-9 meters away from the dog, in the circle, and then we run on this.
Okay. Después hacen este ejercicio que decían de que, bueno, se alejan, viene una persona con un bastón, lo amenaza.
No, you forget it. No. And then we have the 2 lines with the canister and the umbrella and all those things.
¿Me entienden
pasa
todo?
con el paraguas?
El bidón, el pasillo.
Un paraguas,
Y de ahí sí, para la situación está que el hombre los amenaza, ven cómo reacciona el perro y después le llevan a una situación de tráfico. O sea, lo deben llevar entre autos o para...
But they can choose this test or the ZTP.
Y ellos pueden elegir entre este examen o el ZTP. Con mordido.
Pero no muerde.
En este no, por eso, tienen 2 exámenes, tienen este y el otro con
O el
mordido.
ZTP de la DRK.
Con mordido.
But then we have seen the third test.
no el ZTP de la DRK, el ZTP de ellos mismos. Tenés la alternativa de hacer ese que mordés o tenés la alternativa de hacer este que te dijo ahora. Tenés las 2 alternativas.
Yeah. But then there's a third test that we saw in
Tienen también un
Denmark.
tercer test.
It's the Scandinavian mental test. They do it in Denmark, they do it in Finland, and they do it in Sweden. And this is not a test like the German test or the Belgian test, pass or fail. Because in the test that I just described, the ZTP or the Belgian test, you pass or you fail. If you fail, you cannot breed. Very simple. I decide as a judge if you can breed that dog, yes or no. The mental test in Scandinavia, it's not the judge who decides can you breed him, yes or no. You will get an assessment, an appreciation of the characteristics of your dog, and you yourself will decide, do I want to breed with this dog? But you will have a very clear picture of what is your dog's worth. So it's not pass or fail, unless it's extreme. When the dog is extremely afraid or extremely aggressive, then it's fail. But as long as it's not extreme, you just get an appreciation of the character of what your dog is doing. And they test him on many things. The first thing is, we will greet the dog. Important is, you do not go on a field where the dog is familiar with. Because those of you who do IPO, you all know very well, you step from the car, you go to the side of the field, and the dog is already sitting there. And you go on the field, and the dog is moving with you. You go off the field, he's loose, he's free. On the field, he's disciplined. On the field, he has to listen. Once he's off the field, an IPO dog is free. It's a big difference. So if you would do this mental test in Scandinavia, and you would do it on an IPO field or a field where the dog is familiar with, you would not see the dog's natural behavior. What they want is take the dog somewhere where he's never been before, deep in the woods, not just on a field, deep in the woods, with people he has never seen before, a million smells, a million birds that he has never heard before, colors, the wind, everything is new for the dog. He's looking around, he's very curious, he's acting very naturally. And in those circumstances, they will test the dog. And that's very important. Because like the Belgian test too, you can train on it. If you have a dog who's a bit afraid when you attack him with a stick, you ask somebody to run with a dog with a candy for 50 times. And after 50 times, the dog will say, hey, the man is not a lunatic, he's bringing me a candy. So you can train on it. But if you do this test deep in the woods, where he's never been before, it's different. So that's very important to start with. You can translate this?
Okay. Ahora estaba hablando de un nuevo... Bueno, lo que estaba diciendo fue que en el ZTP y en el Apto de Cría de Bélgica, ¿se aprueba o no se aprueba? Ahora está hablando de un examen que se toma en Escandinavia o en Dinamarca, que es un test mental, donde la decisión de si cría o no, en los otros exámenes, el que te aprueba o no te aprueba es el que decide, bueno, el perro reproduce o no. En cambio, en este test mental, uno mismo es el que decide si el perro cría o no. No me explicó los pasos de cómo es. Lo que sí hizo mucho énfasis es que por lo general los otros dos exámenes ya tienen un condicionamiento, porque inclusive para hacer el test belga uno puede condicionarlo al perro.
Tiene más de 10 ejercicios.
¿Tienes el video?
Y
Claro,
está
el
el
video.
video.
Desde chiquito, qué sé yo, dice, se puede acercar un loco con un bastón y cada vez que se le acerca le da un caramelo. Entonces el perro ya no lo asocia más. Lo condiciona, tal cual. En cambio, este test, y aparte que siempre se lo lleva a un mismo lugar, este otro test se lo lleva a un lugar donde el perro nunca estuvo, con una serie de personas que nunca estuvo.
A lo más profundo del bosque.
A lo más profundo del bosque.
Sí, lo sentí, que era
Sí.
lo más profundo.
Y ahora me va a pasar a contar porque no me dijo todo lo que pasó.
That's very important. And then they have the dog first on the leash. They say hello to a stranger in the middle of the woods, and you can see the dog is looking around, and then suddenly a stranger in front of him, and they look, how is the dog reacting on this? And they're not saying pass or fail, they're just saying he's free, he's curious, he's a bit aggressive, he's a bit mistrusting, he's growling a little bit, he tries to pull away. An assessment on the dog's behavior. Then there's a lot of people standing there, 15 people. Suddenly, the dog doesn't notice, and suddenly there's 15 people there, coming behind the tree. The dog is loose, free, and the dog passing through
¿Y
the
no va el dueño? ¿No va el dueño del perro?
Sí, está con la correa.
Yeah. So the dog is, what is he doing? How is he reacting on this? And they look at this. Then they will look for the shot. How is he reacting? Because on the IPO field, the dog knows they will shoot. But a shot 9 millimeters deep in the woods with the echo, boom, 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 between the trees, it's something else. Huh? And then they accept the dog is looking what is happening. Then the dog is taken further away in the wood. There's nobody there anymore. Only the judge is standing at the tree. And then they just hold the leash. And they do nothing for 5 minutes. And then they look, what is the dog doing? Is he restless? Is he sitting? Is he lying? Is he mistrusting? Is he going to urinate or whatever? And they look, what is the dog doing? He's free. How is he reacting in strange surroundings? And they assess it, they give an appreciation. Then they will walk the dog in the wood, and then suddenly, with a rope, they pull up a ghost just in front of the dog. There's this ghost, 2 meters high, vroom, up in the air, and they look. No dog says, I'm biting this. Maybe some will do, but I don't think many. And they look, how is the dog reacting on it? Aggressive, afraid. Is he going away far? Is he still under control? Is he not under control? And how does he recover? Because the most important thing in such a test, in my opinion, is not is he reacting, but is he recovering? And how long does it take to recover? Is he mistrusting for a very long time? Is he not mistrusting? Does he go sniff? Does he go urinate? Does he go around it? And then they have the handler walk next to the ghost a few times, and they look, is the dog still mistrusting? Is the dog going to? Is he curious? And they give an assessment. They do exactly the same thing with something that makes noise. It's like a ladder. You know, a ladder with a chain, the dog's walking in the wood, totally free, there's nothing to see, nothing that he knows, and then suddenly they pull a chain over the ladder. And you look how the dog reacts. Of course, every dog jumps away. He's not expecting it. If you do this on the IPO field, and you do this 10 times, then the dog knows, yeah. At that pole, they will make the noise. He will know what will happen. But in the woods, he doesn't know what will happen. So you see his natural reaction, and they give an assessment. Then they take him again to a place in the wood, and then you have the ghost scene, which is very special to see. But you have to think about this, because just laughing with it will not help us. You have to think about it. You have the dog on a leash, but loose. And then suddenly, out of the woods come 2 ghosts, meaning 2 people with a sheet over them. And they have 2 little eyes cut in the sheet, but with black eyes painting on it. But they are moving very unnaturally. And they're coming from between the trees, 3-4 meters. And they're not moving like a human being. They're really stiff, unnatural. And they don't come together. They come 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter, 4 meters. They come like this, and then you see this dog's reaction. I mean, I know we're all machos. Huh? We say, our dog will bite. No. This is so unnatural. You see the dog, look, what's this? And this is so menacing for the dog. It's coming towards him in an unnatural way. He doesn't know what is happening. And then they measure and they assess the dog's behavior. How is he reacting? And then, click, the dog is loose. What is he doing? Running away? Searching for the car? Or is he going to the ghost? Is he going to sniff very calmly? Is he sniffing, mistrusting? they give an appreciation of how is the dog reacting. And then they take off the sheet, and then you see the dog, oh, it's a human being, and then they're happy. Then they also will test the hunting drive. So they have the dog hold them on a collar, and with a rope they have a prey, comes something fluffy or something, and they pull it at high speed away from the dog. And then they look, is the dog hunting drive? Is it high? Is it low? Is the dog chasing it? Is he biting it? Is he willing to let it go again? How is his prey drive? Those are the main things that they test on. And they chart this. So they make a chart and they give points for each test. And they know the majority, let's say the normal majority of the Rottweilers, they react like this. Is your dog over the top, under the top? Is this normal behavior? Is he too afraid? Is he too aggressive? Is he not reacting enough? So you can appreciate your dog yourself. And it's up to you to decide, will I yes or no breed this dog? So in theory, a dog at the first moment that you will say hello and the dog is already biting, in theory you can still breed it. But the question is, are you willing to breed such a dog? Intelligent people will say, no, of course not. And that is, I think, the difference between Scandinavian people and most part of the world, and also my own country. That is that Scandinavian people are very disciplined. Scandinavian people are thinking about the dogs. Scandinavia has is very institutional about dogs. If you go to Stockholm, or you go to Helsinki, or you go to to wherever, Copenhagen, you cannot imagine how many clubs there are. It's enormous. How many people are busy working with dogs. How many people are professionally working with dogs. How many courses they are giving. How many seminars that are given. And also how much input there is from the government and help from the government. Not only on the mental issues, also on the health issues of the dog. Dogs are taken very, very seriously in Scandinavia. And that's also why they take this test very seriously. The people themselves, when they have a dog and he's not good according to the test, they don't use him. And all this information that is derived from the test, you can find it on the website of the National Kennel Club. You go to the website of the, let's say, Danish Kennel Club, you will say this name's dog, and you can find how did this dog react on the test. And most of the people, because it's not obligatory, but most of the people, they participate in the test willingly, because they know how important it is to keep the Rottweiler. That's a lot to talk about, I think.
Bueno, dice que en Escandinavia, en Dinamarca, hacen un mental test, el que estábamos hablando recién. Es muy gracioso porque se le realiza a todas las razas, no a una en particular solamente. Bueno, y como dije anteriormente, queda a criterio de la persona si lo utiliza para reproducir o no. Lo llevan al medio del bosque, al perro, al bosque. De golpe, primero de pronto le sale un grupo de 50 personas caminando despacito, ¿sí? El guía tiene que saludar a las personas y no miden si no tiene un puntaje, no tiene un aprobado o desaprobado, sino lo que hacen es califican cómo se encuentra el perro, curioso, atento, excitado. Bueno, después tienen un disparo en el medio del bosque, que obviamente como es en medio del bosque hace un eco tremendo. Después le sueltan la correa al perro por 5 minutos, ¿sí? Ahí también lo califican, a ver qué hacen, ¿sí? Por
3 minutos.
3 or 5 minutes they release the leash.
No, he's on the leash. The dog is on the leash, but he's free. There's no connection. I mean, he gets no commands to do whatever, and they just look how is the dog reacting when he is.
When he's alone.
No. The owner is there, but the owner is holding the leash, not looking at the dog. He's just holding her, so he cannot run away. Huh? But is he going to lie down? How is he reacting? What is his behavior when he's in the woods where he's never been? And there are so many other
Está parado el guía con el perro así.
No le suelta nunca la correa.
No lo sueltan.
Se queda agarrado de la correa 3 minutos.
Nada, ni le habla, ni lo acaricia,
Okay.
ni nada.
Bueno, y ahí también lo que califican es si se está cansado, si se acuesta, si está estresado, si orina. Y de golpe le salen de atrás de 2 árboles. A todo esto las 50 personas se alejaron, se fueron, se escondieron. y de golpe le salen...
Hay un guía con él, está el guía con el perro, atrás una persona que es de la organización, que le va, la de los fantasmas, ¿te vas a contar?
Sí.
Va con un handy dándole avance a dos personas vestidas de fantasma, blanco con unas... ¿no?
First you have the ghost that they pull up with the rope.
Yo pensé que lo había dicho ese ejercicio.
Lo subo en...
Hay como si fuera esos...
Sí, como un muñeco de...
No,
Espantapájaros.
no, lo que usaban los mecánicos, los overoles enteros. Están en el piso. Hay uno de la organización con una correa que el perro no ve y todo. Y va a pasar el guía con el perro por acá. Y cuando está por pasar ahí, tira y eso se levanta así. Y ahí tiene que ver y lo dejan armado.
Nuevamente la reacción del perro.
Se pega el guía, que si no sabe.
El guía, ahí como la rueda del perro.
Ahí cuando vas a parar vos.
But I
Para eso lo...
very important that if you do this on the field where the dog is
Si lo perdés te lo pagan.
see this happen, the dog will not react. If this is happening, somebody is walking in the woods, he doesn't know anything, he does not expect something to happen, and then suddenly it happens just in front of him.
Claro,
That's very important.
él aclara justamente que el perro no está acostumbrado a este ambiente, es en el medio del bosque. Si esto pasaría en un campo de trabajo donde el perro lo va llevando y le subís un espantapájaro, de última se habitúa, pero esto lo haces en el medio de un bosque.
¿Para qué sirve eso?
Para ver la reacción, nuevamente lo califican,
Sí,
se
pero eso para
sorprende.
mentalidad nórdica.
Claro.
Ya lo hacen con todas las razas.
Bueno, luego se quedan respetan nuevamente la
Pero el
comida
bosque es
y de
relativo.
golpe
A mí me parece en el paliar de
No,
casa
and
y
then they do the same
por
with
cualquier lado.
the rope and the chain over the ladder, so they make a noise, also something
Claro, vos no le das comida a los perros tampoco.
But what I said here, the most important thing here is not the way that the dog reacts, because I think every dog will jump away. The most important thing is that they assess, that they appreciate how the dog recovers. How long does it take to recover, and does he recover? Because has any one of you ever seen a dog who does not recover? It's ugly. I only judge the Rottweiler, but because I'm also an IPO judge, I have been asked to judge the character test, so the character test of the Bosseron and of the Briard Club. Yeah, you know, the French Shepherd dogs. Well, the Briard Club, normally nobody fails. When I judge it, 3/4 fail. Because I do the test a bit stronger. But I've seen several Briards who do not recover, and that is so ugly. The dog is afraid, he panics, he tries to run away as long as the rope is, and he does not recover. 5 minutes later, he's still there like this. It's no good. So you need to... Rottweilers can happen too. I've seen it in Australia. In Australia you have a breed suitability test with a sleeve, but with no bite work. They just threaten the dog, and the sleeve is to protect the helper, because if the dog gets loose, then at least he can give the sleeve. But I have seen a dog there, a Rottweiler, was a very strong male, who did not recover. I mean, the dog's probably still lying there somewhere. That's very ugly. So the importance is not from does the dog react? Sure, he reacts, but the important thing is how quickly does he recover. And that is very important in this test. And then they make the noise test.
Dice que, bueno, justamente, la finalidad de este examen no es probar la mentalidad del perro, sino ver qué tan rápido se recupera de esta situación estresante. No es ver si se asusta.
Porque después esa sorpresa vuelve a pasar 2 o 3 veces por el mismo lugar.
Claro, vuelve a pasar 2 o 3 veces por el mismo lugar. Lo que buscan con esto es ver qué tan rápido el perro se recupera de esta situación. Bueno, él contaba que, bueno, él es solo juez especialista de Rottweiler, pero también es juez de hipo, y tuvo que cuando juzga campeonatos de hipo, no sé de qué raza, una raza francesa.
Pastor de Brie. Un pastor de Brie.
Algo sí, no sé.
O pastor de Brie.
Dice que por lo general nunca ha reprobado ningún perro, y con él por lo general sí, porque él ha visto perros que han entrado en pánico y no han salido. Dice que es muy feo. Entonces justamente lo que trata este examen es de ver qué tan rápido se recupera. Bueno, después de que cuelgan el coso que pasa 2 o 3 veces...
Sí. Hay otra que es con una escalera de bombero que no
claro,
se ve,
con
que está en el
sonido,
piso.
que le hacen ruido.
No, que le ponen una cadena arriba y hay un asistente que cuando va a pasar el perro tira esa cadena y esa cadena se corre ruido en la escalera. Y ahí pasa lo mismo.
Claro,
Y después
exactamente.
pasa 2 o 3 veces por el mismo lugar y se va evaluando la
Con el
reacción
sonido.
But,
de recuperación.
but always very natural. You can see the dog is walking. It's not like fuss, fuss, fuss.
No, no,
it's a
en
loose leash.
situación
And
natural.
you see the
Situación de
dog.
paseo.
The dog is smelling and looking at the birds, and the dog is very natural. And then suddenly comes
Claro.
this noise. The very important thing is it's somewhere where the dog does not expect it.
Es como si estuviera caminando por acá,
Es el bosque del terror.
¿no? Sí,
Claro.
así.
Bueno,
Se hace un electro, calcula el perro.
y después del ruido sí viene lo de los fantasmas.
Sí, que eso es...
Le aparecen dos personas vestidas con una sábana.
No, el día de fantasma. O sea,
Sí, él tiene la foto.
espectacular.
Con dos agujeritos, con dos ojos negros pintados, y no es que se acercan, salen de dos árboles, se acerca uno 3 metros, el otro
Sí,
2
eso va
metros.
dirigiendo uno de la organización atrás del guía. Le va diciendo, adelante, lo frena. ¿Sí?
Ah, y ven cómo reacciona el perro. También lo mismo, ven que tan rápido se recupera y al rato le quitan las máscaras de fantasmas.
Cuando se paran y después el perro también lo sueltan y todo, y van viendo y se van dirigiendo.
Y luego, por último, miden las habilidades de cazador del perro.
Sí.
Arman como unos...
Ponen como unas vallas, acá, así en triángulos, y van pasando una correa con una, como si fuera un trapo o algo, y entonces tiran la soga de atrás y esto va haciendo así, y en un momento dado, cuando pasa la tercera varilla, largan el perro para que vaya a ser presa.
Y eso es para, bueno, justamente también no se lo califica nuevamente al perro, se ve si es cazador, si no está
Si reacciona
interesado.
rápido, si vuelve cuando lo llaman.
Si vuelve cuando lo llaman, al final hay un cuadro que dice dentro de qué parámetros tendría que reaccionar cada raza, y ahí es cuando el propietario elige si reproduce o no reproduce.
So, but the important thing is that they map this, they make graphics of it, and then you can see your dog's behavior, being afraid, reacting on threats, hunting drives, being social. Is this within the limits of the normal behavior of a Rottweiler or not? Because if you see these maps, for every breed they have another map. And for every breed they say, okay, his aggression comes only there. And for the Rottweiler it's different than for the German Shepherd or the Malinois and so on.
Okay.
So, and then it's up to you to decide, will I use this dog for breeding, yes or no? And then I spoke about the discipline and the very institutionalizing of sinology in Scandinavia. It's a lot, I know.
Yes. Bueno, dice que justamente que tienen un cuadro para cada raza para ver, porque obviamente no todas las razas tienen los mismos impulsos, los mismos drives. Bueno, y por último, lo que habló fue de Escandinavia, dice que tienen lo que es una sinología muy grande, tienen demasiados clubes, sí, a lot of clubs, organizan un montón de seminarios.
We do it professionally,
Pero lo hacen
and also
justamente...
the government is paying enormous attention to what is happening with the dogs. They take the dogs issue very seriously, also the health of the dogs.
Todo esto es porque ellos lo hacen sola y puramente exclusiva pensando en los perros. Este test está pensado para los perros, para ver cómo how they
¿A él le
recover
parece
after
bien?
the
¿A
stress.
Dirk le parece bien?
What do you think about this test?
It's a neutral test, so this is not a test that is meant to preserve or to reward certain characteristics. This is just an assessment, what is my dog really like, what is the nature of my dog. And I think it's a very good lead for a serious breeder, to say, okay, this is what I have in my hands, this is what I have in my kennel, I want to breed this, I need more self-assuredness, I need somewhat more sharpness, I can work with this. So for somebody who's very serious, it's a very good test. The problem is, we all know you cannot drive your car through the red traffic light, and still people drive through the red traffic light. The problem is, most people know that there are speed limits, and many people drive too fast. So you have to, we need somebody, it's proper to mankind, I think, we need somebody to say this is the limit. So this is why the German test says you can breed this dog, you cannot breed it. We tell you. Or in Belgium I say you can breed this dog or you cannot breed him. In Scandinavia you decide yourself. And if you're well disciplined, it's a very good test. If you're not very well disciplined, it's useless, because you will say, okay, my dog is aggressive, my dog is afraid, I still breed him. And the difference is, in Belgium I would not trust these tests, because I would know that my breeders in Belgium, they would do whatever they like. In Scandinavia, this test is working, because the people themselves are very disciplined and they think this is very important.
Bueno, dice que justamente estaba explicando todo esto de la sinofilia en Escandinavia porque se lo toman muy responsablemente, ¿sí? Dicen que es un test que para criadores muy responsables que se interesan a ver, bueno, ¿qué es lo que tengo yo? ¿Qué perro tengo? ¿Qué impulsos naturales tiene el perro? ¿Sí? Es muy bueno, ¿sí? Lo que pasa que dice, vos vas por una autopista, hay un montón de autos, los autos le dan, ¿entendés? Cada uno elige a qué carretera. Si no te ponen un límite, hay gente que no para, ¿entendés? Entonces lo que hace el ZTP alemán y el Apto de Bélgica es decir, bueno, lo pasa, no lo pasa, punto. Esto queda a criterio y ética de cada criador en Escandinavia o en Dinamarca. Esa es la diferencia que él está haciendo.
Habiendo superado las 2 horas y media de charla y a Dirk que pegarle con un palo para que se calle, y teniendo en cuenta que mañana tenemos exposición y casi todos están con perros, agradecemos la traducción de Cintia, que no es una profesional, lo hizo con mucha entereza, y agradecemos las palabras de Dirk. Y si quieren aprovechar de hacer alguna última pregunta y aprovechar de la simpatía que mañana no va a tener, acá lo tenemos.
¿A qué edad aconsejás a que empecemos a trabajar en los distintos, en las 3 posiciones que se trabaja para Schutzhund a un perro?
What is the age that you recommend to start working with a dog in the 3 sections of IPO?
You have, it's a lot, Rottweiler, eh?
Rottweiler.
Okay.
Rottweiler.
Tracking, 12 weeks. Tracking,
12 semanas
12 weeks.
de rastro.
We start very, very soon. But of course, not 20 meters, eh? We start very, very soon.
With the box.
Tracking.
¿Cómo 12? 3 meses. 3 meses.
12 semanas, 3
So
meses.
we start,
3 meses
3 o
práctico.
4 meses, we start tracking. In my club, we train together, always together in tracking. When a dog misses a step, it's panic. Why did he miss the step? We talk about this, we film this.
Oh my gosh.
Obedience.
No. Then obedience, you have to wait a bit longer, but we do not wait as long as we used to wait. Because you remember the times, well, I remember the times, that a Rottweiler, we were chuck, it was violence, and we were used force, and we were, let's say, not very nice in education of the dog. Now it's with the ball dropper and the clicker. The dog gets no pressure, he gets only reward, he gets only positive rewards, so you can start very soon. We have people like, for instance, Ismail de Vos, he was world champion with the Rottweiler once, he will start 4 months with obedience. I start later, I start 6, 7, 8 months, but positive rewards. Yeah?
Dice que no hay que tanto, a ver, no hay que empezar tan pronto con la obediencia, pero tampoco hay que buscar un promedio, porque dice, los perros no son los mismos que antes era pam, ahorcándolos, ahora es todo refuerzo positivo, todo refuerzo positivo con el clicker, pelota, entonces dice que después de los 4 meses.
The problem with bite work was never for the Rottweiler, was never biting itself. Why did we say that you should wait with the Rottweiler until 12, 13, 14 months to start bite work? Why? That is because if he's biting well, then you have to bring in obedience, because you will not have him just bite. No, you will also bring in obedience. And that, for a Rottweiler, when he's high in drive, you need force, you need to bring in, let's say, more compulsion, and that's for a Rottweiler difficult to have when he is too young. So that's why we waited until 12, 13, 14 months with bite work. Not because he couldn't bite earlier, but because you have to bring in obedience, and for that he was too young. But now that we do obedience with the positive rewards, we can start bite work also much younger. We don't have to wait so long anymore.
Dice que antes empezaba, no antes de los 12 meses, lo que era todo lo que es protección, justamente porque para controlar los impulsos, ¿no? Porque antes se volaban, necesitaban tener obediencia antes. Ahora, dice, con el tema de que están los refuerzos positivos, se puede empezar más o menos a la misma edad con la protección.
But if you look at the way we used to train the dog, I used to train my dog, and I'm still very ashamed of it. And I see it today, it's totally different way of work. If you look at the results also in obedience at the World Championships, all the best obedience, they're all women. They're all females who
Dice
work
que
with
sí,
the dog.
que cuando él ve con videos de él cuando competía se agarra la cabeza. Dice que hoy la forma de trabajar a los perros es totalmente diferente y que si uno ve los resultados de las últimas competencias de Rottweiler, las mejores obediencias siempre las llevan las mujeres.
Scandinavia, almost all are women. Anglo-Saxon countries, all women. Soft hands, great results.
Bueno,
Dice
de
que
hecho,
las mujeres en
la
obediencia-
campeona y la subcampeona Balú Bully en IFR fueron dos mujeres.
Softer hands, great
La italiana
results.
y la
¿Por qué? Porque tenemos la mano más suave, las mujeres.
Algunas.
But I can
No,
tell
yo
you,
no tengo.
but I can,
No, yo sé.
yeah, but I can tell you,
Crema usan,
but
che.
I can tell you
Por
from my
ejemplo,
personal
con Paso,
experience.
A mí me dijo la perra que le mandaba a Alemania que él a los 2 años no la quería para trabajar, para hacer el...
Marcus Master told him that he sent a female to him and told him,
Solo
don't
quería
touch
que
it.
muerda.
Don't send her to me before she is 2 years old.
Yeah, but I am not Marcus Maser. I don't know what methods he used. I hear things, but I can't comment on it. I just don't know it. So everybody has his own style.
Claro, dice que todo el mundo tiene sus propios métodos, que él no conoce cómo
I
trabaja
cannot-
Marcus,
me
entonces
too.
no sabría.
Me too, I cannot work with a soft dog. I need a hard dog, because that is my nature. Yeah?
Dice
And
que
it's
él no
my
puede
fault.
trabajar con perros.
It's my fault. It
suaves.
is not something to brag about because I feel ashamed of it, but it's just my nature. I have a dog at home. He's in tracking normally in IPO3. He should have not excellent, but let's say a good, very good. But 92, 93, 94 is possible. Obedience between 90 and 95. Protection work should have at least an excellent. Never, always a full grip. Never a nibble, never thing. I cannot take him to a trial. I cannot do a trial. I did IPO1 with him 2 times. The first time he bit the judge. The second time he bit somebody in the group. And I have nothing to say about it. When I train with him, it's like, it's beautiful. Positive reward, positive. The problem is, I have nothing to say on the dog. The dog listens to me perfectly, but when he has to obey, he doesn't obey me because he has never had a negative experience. He has never had, I never been in pain, I never had to punish him, I never had to do whatever that gave him a bad experience. So he just said, tell me whatever you like, I do what I please. So I think the positive reward system is perfect, it gives great results, but I think... No, with all the dogs too. You have worked with a clicker? Have you ever worked with a clicker?
Yes.
It's unbelievable. I thought it was for sissies. Honestly, the first time I had a clicker, I said, what's this? I don't want to work with this. Give me a chain collar, it's okay, but I don't want a clicker. And then he explained this to me, and I tried it, and 10 minutes later, I felt ashamed of myself because I didn't start it sooner. You give click, and you give him a candy. Click and a candy. 2 minutes later, the dog is sitting, lying. He's doing all crazy things just to hear the click and the candy. It's crazy to see.
Estaba contando que tiene un perro en la casa que, bueno, con todo esto del refuerzo positivo, el perro es de muy bueno, muy bueno rastreando, en obediencia más bien, y en protección es excelente, pero fue a competir, ¿no? El perro. Fue a competir con el perro y mordió al juez y al figurante.
Bien.
Claro. Sí. Entonces dice, todo esto de los refuerzos, pero él le está diciendo, a mí me gustan los perros intensos. ¿Entendés? Lo que pasa es que todo esto de los refuerzos positivos con los perros intensos a veces...
It just, you have nothing to say on it, just because it's never a negative experience. So I think the positive reward system we have nowadays is perfect, it's very good, but still I think some conclusion is necessary to...
¿En Bélgica quién da los pedigrees? ¿El club o la federación?
Federation. That's not like this. It's like this. It's the problem, eh? It is the problem. In Belgium, it's like this. you're a member of the Belgian Rottweiler Club, you follow the breeding regulations. If you breed without the ZTP or the other test, we kick you out. But they still get pedigrees.
Ok.